Hello, welcome to Tarot with Tanya. This is 7 cards for 7 days, and we are looking at the week of Monday, March 31st to Sunday, April 6th in 2025. Thank you for being here. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if you're new for the first time. So I'm going to do things a little bit differently today in terms of the astrology. So I'm going to talk about the planets in general and not particularly the aspects this week, though I'll go over the moon's trajectory. But I thought it might be time for a good overview, and that is in part because of this big pileup of planets in Pisces, and astrologers are saying, you know, things are aligning right now that haven't happened in many years, sometimes hundreds and hundreds of years, centuries. And in the case of Neptune moving into Aries, and that was Sunday the 30th of March, that hasn't happened, well, it was there in 1861 when we had the Civil War. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then we'll look at the cards, and I'm using the Golden deck by Klimt. I just got those cards replaced recently, so I'm excited about that. And then we'll end with our Tree Keeper's Oracle card. So please let things filter through your own system and take what resonates, let the rest go. Keep taking good care of yourself, working with your own intuition, especially as we're going through this time of deep fakes and multiple sources and bots and all kinds of things. Again, we'll talk more about that with the Neptune thing. So what I notice about the astrology this week is we're starting, you know, right off with, I just mentioned the Neptune moving to Aries. And then we're going to have the moon in Taurus. We'll end the week with the moon in Leo, and those are both fixed signs. We'll talk about that. And we still have Venus retrograde in Pisces and so forth. And of course, we just had this huge eclipse on the Saturday before, last Saturday, which was what, the 29th? Yeah. So it's been intense. And that you know, focus with that North Node, it was in Aries, and now it's moved to Pisces, and then there was a retrograde thing. But Aries energy in this instance, you know, with Neptune going there, it can bring a whole new energy level. I took some notes because it's complicated. There can be a kind of surge of idealism. There can be a boldness that comes with that. I mean, it's a very, very slow moving outer planet. And it can be very creative, but then on the other hand, it can push us toward illusions, Neptune in general. So, we, you know, and with Aries, that's that fighting spirit. It's a pioneering spirit. It wants to protect and doesn't always stop to think if it has all the information, but that, you know, initiative, that energy to move is there. So, you know, with Neptune as ruler of the collective unconscious, you know, we can feel pulls in two directions. And then of course we still have Venus retrograding in Pisces, and Venus likes Pisces. She's happy there. That's a very deep spirituality and creativity. She likes money, pleasure, sensuality. But it can help us look at our deeper feminine selves and the way we express the feminine in the culture. Because of course she moved into Aries, retrograded to Pisces, and then she will also of course go back into Aries. She's not as comfortable there, but this is really helping us look at our relationships, because she's dominant with that. So overall, in ways, it's a good week to balance the personal initiative with or intuition with your deep introspection. So the initiative part comes with the Aries, and then the deep introspection comes with the Neptune Pisces kind of energy. So we also still have Pluto in the first degree of Aquarius, where, you know, that's for humanity, the collective taking action, trying to have fairness for all. We have Uranus and Taurus still, and that can be about tangible innovations. It can be about ecology and creating, inventing things that can help us, you know, like clean up the environment or do things more efficiently, perhaps create a different, cleaner kind of fuel, all those sorts of things. And it will be moving this summer into Gemini. And my instinct about that is that when it does, those ideas will be made, we'll get more ideas and more things will be implemented from that time that Uranus was in Taurus these last 7 years or so. We also still have Saturn in Pisces. So this is a very, it's a structuring kind of influence. It's about serious emotions, because it's in Pisces. It's the spiritual. It can also affect our health, but it favors introspection as well and inner discipline, and it can help us build these lasting foundations. We have Jupiter in Gemini for a while longer too, and that's a lot of energy into our thinking. You've got the twins there, the twins of Gemini, travel, short travel, communication, lots of energy in that area. Also in Aries, I may have mentioned this earlier, but we have the Chiron asteroid there. And Chiron is the wounded healer from Greek mythology. He was a centaur, half man, half horse. And when in Aries can help us discover our personal wounds, our wounds to our self-esteem, how we balance self-care with caring for others. And, you know, he's been there for a while, so that lesson is continuing and getting more energy because of the Neptune moving there. And then he was visited, it didn't come up to it yet, but with Mercury and Venus having moved into Aries, there was more energy that way. Now they've retrograded. We're going back over these lessons of relationships and communications, the way that we think, and then it will come back into Aries with a fresh start kind of energy. We also have that North Node in Pisces. That is another way that we are looking at our spirituality. And, you know, I heard Channing Nichols recently talk about that North Node, and this comes from the Vedic astrology, I believe, of how hungry that energy can be. And I started thinking about where people's North Nodes were in their charts. This is the moon's nodes. And I see the truth in what she's saying. So for all of us with this North Node in Pisces, it is that hunger for the collective, for the oneness, that we all are particles of this universe, and that we, you know, we all do blend together, even though we have our individuality at the same time. So this year is going to be a lot of focus on that. Even if it isn't intellectualized, it will be felt in some ways. So this North Node in Pisces can give us a gradual clarification of the spiritual or emotional path to follow. Our intuition becomes more precise and profound. We are very craving of authenticity and emotional openness. And what we're leaving behind in a way, and that's where the South Node is that Virgo energy. Which can, you know, it can be very helpful in terms of analytical abilities, service, seeing things clearly, asking very probing questions, but also separating, you know, parsing things out, maybe so much that we're looking at the parts and not the whole. So Pisces invites us back to that wholeness. And of course the sun is in Aries right now too, so we've got that energy of spring and moving forward, initiating new projects, things like that. And as I mentioned, Mercury, our planet of ideas and short travel and communication, the way we talk to one another, is still retro in Pisces, so adding to that spiritual energy. And Mars in Cancer. Now Mars isn't particularly like Cancer. It's not its most comfortable place. That's water. Mars rules Aries, which is fire, but it is helping us protect home, family, home. What are those values, of the internal world? All right, that's a lot, I know, but hopefully that bigger picture helps. And again, a big year because we're having some of these large planets shift later in the year, and as we've just had with Neptune, so I'll keep you posted. In terms of the cards this week, it seems to be about pairs. We have two majors, we have two people cards, we have two swords. Oh, no, actually we have three swords. I take that back on that one. But there are a lot of pairs going on today. And it begins with the Seven of Swords. We'll have the Moon in Taurus, as I said, on Monday, and this is our Monday card. And this one can be some self-doubt. Am I taking the path that I really want to, or am I creating excuses for why what I want can't happen, why I can't get it? So here you have a person in bed, it looks like, maybe trying to sleep, but not really sleeping. And then there are different aspects of this person. It might be hard to see, but there are actually three women's faces. And to me, it gives that idea of where are we when we're in the dream world, when we're trying to sleep. Are we meditating? Are we drifting off to a different dimension? What's happening? So I connect this to the Chariot because it's a 7 in the majors. So it's like searching for a direction on the mental plane and trying to sort things out. We get another 7 on Tuesday, and this one is the 7 of Cups. Now this can be a little bit about delusions. It can also be very dreamy, very creative. Obviously, again, it's going to be connected to the Chariot. So there could be this energy of what are we preparing ourselves for, as we look for that spiritual clarity or emotional path to follow, spiritual path to follow. What is it that we are really tuning into? And you notice that her eyes are closed here. There's this connection to this sort of, I don't even know how to describe it, but a kind of a creature face energy, almost like looking for guidance, looking for inspiration. And this is one of the prettier 7 of Cups. Sometimes they're almost grotesque, like in the Rider-Waite, and other ones where you see these like icky kinds of creatures coming out of the cards. This one feels a little bit more open, a little bit more like, what am I going to choose? What are my dreams? Bring up the menu. And then on Wednesday, we get to that first major, and we have the Empress. It's interesting because, she wears a mask. It makes her look a little bit, I'm just going to say, on the creepy side, but it's a very beautiful, abundant card. I love the gold and the red, that dark background, almost a rust color. She has a woman standing in her hand. So I feel like that's the goddess, and then the more human aspect of the woman in the hand. So our Empress wants to nurture us, to be sensual. I think I said abundance, giving a lot. On the darker side can be a little smothering. So by this time, we're probably moving into Moon in Gemini, which is a little bit different than her energy. She's just a little bit more aligned with something like the Moon in Taurus. Maybe even Cancer, but I like the Taurus connection. But look for that abundance. Look for that deep knowing of the feminine. On Thursday, we get our King of Pentacles, and I think he's a pretty good partner for our Empress. Here he looks quite contemplative. He is sometimes called the slow king. He doesn't get things done very quickly, but he can do them very well. He would be concerned with a very solid foundation. This is where like a planet comes in. And, you know, usually we're thinking of material aspects, but with Saturn in Pisces, it can be our spiritual foundations as well. And I think he kind of fits that in the way that he seems to be, you know, he's chewing on one finger, his little finger, and really seems to be looking around. But of course, you know, it's richly patterned, so that there's a lot of sensuality and detail in this. Friday, we get that second royal card or person card, and this one would be the Knave of Swords. And this can be a cutting kind of energy. Swords can be like that. They can bring information and clarity. Well, this is part 2 because I ran out of capacity on my phone. I'm not completely sure where I ended, but I think it was with the Knave of Swords, who was our Friday card. So I'm just going to recap that really quickly. An energy that can be about severing, can bring a very fresh perspective and new ideas in here. Can be quick-witted, you know, verbally sharp, things like that. Just kind of want to watch for the severing, and it can be a person or an energy within your own self, maybe just something that's passing through. And we got 2 more cards for our week. This is our Saturday card, the Ace of Swords. We have this lovely hand holding it, the sword going through that kind of wreath of victory. Looks like laurel leaves. New ideas, again, a fresh perspective, a real clarity. And this is not associated with a person, you know, where the Knave of Swords, you know, is connected to someone, to our human selves. This one can just kind of almost seem like it comes out of the ethers, that there's suddenly a clarity, maybe it can help you make a decision about something. And another one, this is part of our pairs for the week, and this one is the Wheel of Fortune. With her, you are, you know, well, she's holding this gorgeous, almost embroidered kind of wheel. It's very textured, and it has different energies and different pieces there. It's the idea of what rises must fall, what falls rises again eventually, that things keep cycling, that the only constant is change. And often there is a sense of good fortune with this, you know, that good news could come, some kind of boon, you know, something very positive. And I think that would be a lovely way to end our week here. So, you know, recapping, 2 majors, 2 sevens, 2 people cards, 2 ones. So, you know, putting the 1s and 7s together, hopefully we find some strength. And, you know, and I say that in part because there's going to be a lot of confusion as well. So in the midst of all of this, I hope you find some clarity and some groundedness. And then we will end with our Tree Keeper's Oracle card. And today what we got was the Keeper of Wonders. So this is number 42 if you have these cards yourself. And they fit so well, I feel. The Tree Keepers viewed enchantment as a necessary element. They pursued it like sunlight, like rain. Now is the time to make a list of all that enchants you. Pursue wonder like a necessity. Document it, put practical concerns to one side, and allow yourself to marvel. Hang with the hummingbirds, talk with the bees, the wide world is a never-ending story full of surprises and splendors. Observe the many tiny miracles around you. You cannot live robustly by logic alone. Take some time to open your heart wide to receive blessings both tiny and great. Then list them, noting all the ways you are surprised or astonished. As a famous storyteller once said, those who don't believe in magic will never find it. So, beloveds, I'm wishing you my words today, the best possible 7 days. Thank you so much for being here. Please like, share, subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you again in 7 days. And if you are curious about what a reading entails or need some help in that way, have questions, feel free to reach out. There'll be information in the description box and at the end of the video. I'll see you in 7 days.